Hi everyone, welcome to Know Your Insurer, the podcast series that demystifies insurance. This podcast has been born out of a passion as an insurance advisor to create a platform where information could be shared directly from the insurer's perspective. I recognize the need to go beyond the traditional approach of relying on lengthy PDSs and to add more credibility to this whole process of buying insurance. Through this podcast, I aim to bring industry professionals and experts on board to demystify the complexities in the world of insurance and to make this information a lot more accessible and understandable to everyone. By addressing common concerns, misconceptions, and questions, I believe we can empower everyone to make a more informed decision with their insurance needs. And this podcast is my commitment to constantly educating you, informing you, and guiding you through this process of insurance. Today, we have a really special guest joining us on this podcast today. Her name is Lisa Pettit, and she is the Senior Business Development Manager at Zurich and OnePath. With an extensive experience of over 20 years in the industry, Lisa brings with her a wealth of knowledge and experience that she's willing to share with us on this platform today. We are thrilled to have her join us today, and please join me in welcoming Lisa Pettit. Hi everyone, welcome to Know Your Insurer. Today we have a really special guest joining us on the podcast. We have with us Lisa Pettit, Senior Business Development Manager at Zurich and OnePath. With her extensive experience of over 20 years in the industry, Lisa brings with her a wealth of experience and knowledge that she's willing to share with us today. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. We're thrilled to have you shed some insights and light on the world of insurance.
Thanks so much, Priyanka. Really pleased to be here. I love talking about insurance, and as you say, I have been around for a little while. It kind of gives my age away a little bit, but with that comes a lot of experience around, just talking to different people and a lot of customers too around, what they expect out of their insurance policy and the importance of, if they were to claim, how they can manage that more effectively.
Yep, that's great, because what we're trying to do, Lisa, today is, as part, of course, we're going to share some of your experience on the industry, but I've compiled a list of frequently asked questions that I have received from customers over the years as my experience as an insurance advisor. And I want to go through them so that it's easier for them to access some information that they can use to make a more informed decision.
Sure.
Thank you for that. Let's start with addressing the two brands, the Zurich and the OnePath brand, and just understanding, are they the same, are they different, or I know that Zurich has brought over OnePath in the past 1 year or over a year, I think.
Yeah, a couple of years ago now.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. It's a really good one. It's an interesting one too, because we're actually the only insurer in the market who's actually purchased another brand and kept the product suite. And one of the reasons we've done that is to make sure that we can insure as many customers as we possibly can, and some of the products that we found that OnePath had were quite unique in the marketplace. So across the board, we've got 20 different types of insurance products across Zurich and OnePath, and 5 of those, which is a combination of the two brands, are unique. So no one else in the market has these types of policies. And the great thing about that is that, people who may not be able to access the traditional types of cover with some of the other insurers can come to us, and we can quite often, in most circumstances, find a solution for those types of clients.
That's great. Can we have maybe an example or two of what these unique suite of products are, which are not available to any other providers?
Sure. So we've got one type of policy called living expense cover, and what we're finding is with people working longer in their lives and taking on higher amounts of mortgage debt and children staying longer with parents, that they tend to need those income protection type policies for a longer period of time. People are working beyond 65 to 70s.
And I think with work from home, most people are still willing to work longer, like they don't have to travel.
Absolutely. So this type of product fits in with those types of clients' needs. Someone who may be the age doesn't meet the requirement for the traditional income protection policy. We can actually offer this type of policy for people who are over the age of 60, and we pay benefits right up until they're 80 years old.
Wow, okay.
And no one else in the market actually has that type of policy. But it's really good too for people who are looking after kids from home, who have that home duties type occupation rating, who can't access income protection cover. So we actually use the household income to set up the policy. So great for people maybe not meeting the minimum hour requirement as well, part-time people, because that minimum requirement is 20 hours per week. So someone working less than 20 hours, that type of product is good for them too.
Right, okay, that's great to know. Thanks for sharing that. And with OnePath now being part of Zurich, does that change anything for the legacy OnePath policy holders?
No, not only the fact that under the Zurich management and Zurich banner that we look after all OnePath and Zurich policyholders now. So the great thing about that, Zurich's a huge company, has been around for over 130 years. We are in over 70 countries now, and we have over 50,000 staff. So our capability around digital enhancements for customers with their portal, the things that they can do to make changes to their policies, update their personal details, that sort of thing, is open now to OnePath customers as well. So we're very happy to be now looking after all of the OnePath legacy customers, so we can, they can access all the benefits that Zurich customers have now.
Sure, so it essentially does not change any definitions on their policies or anything that they had with OnePath?
Definitely not, and that's one of the great things about retail type of policies, is that once someone has a policy and it's completed and they have their certificate to say that policy's in force, any definitions at that time are maintained throughout the term of their policy. And we do from time to time make enhancements and upgrades to our, and they're passed back on to the clients as customers as well.
So it can only get better, but not
exactly. Yeah, we can't take anything away from those existing customers.
Sure. And are there any unique features? Like, of course, you've touched on some of the most different things that the suite has and which are different to other insurers, but part of the commonly used policies of life, TPD, IP, are there any unique features or differences that you could want to touch base on for the OnePath and Zurich policies?
Yeah, sure. So for one of the unique features we do have within our TPD, which is our total and permanent disablement policies, is we call it an ADL definition, which means activities of daily living. So we have two different ways that someone can actually claim on the TPD policy. So instead of it just being based on their occupation and they're not being able to complete any of the tasks of their usual occupation or anything they're educated or recently trained for, we can look at it from an activities of daily living perspective. So what we have is an actual chart with all these different tasks that people can or can't perform, and it's actually really good for the medical people that are looking after them, their GPs, their specialists, to look through this list of tasks and tick off whether or not they can perform these tasks. So it's not just occupationally based. So sometimes it's difficult for a GP or a specialist to know exactly what a customer might do in their day-to-day job, and so ticking them off as not being able to perform any of those tasks ever again can be quite challenging at times. So this is one unique feature that we do have in our Zurich, all of our Zurich total and permanent disablement policies.
Sure, so it makes it less rigid and makes it more flexible and adaptable to different people and their circumstances.
Yes, it does, which is fantastic.
That's great. Good to know. The next one that I have is a very favorite question from people. Can you shed some light on claim statistics and payout ratios for Zurich and OnePath policies?
Sure. So as we all know, claims are very important. That's why we all have insurance policies, and whilst we don't want to see anyone claim on their policy. If they do need to, obviously we want to be there to make sure that they're financially supported and supported in other ways, such as rehabilitation in trying to, get them back to work, even on a part-time basis, if they're able to, that is.
Sure.
So just with the percentage, I think you asked, 92% of all of our claims are approved and paid, which is great. The main reasons for claims not being paid is non-disclosure of pre-existing health conditions or injuries. And so it's really important when people are going through the process of filling out the health questionnaires that, they're just as honest and comprehensive as they can be in talking through all of any health concern that they may have had throughout their life. And the beauty of going through that full health questionnaire is once we offer a policy, we know exactly what they've had and we accept them at that point in time. Correct. So any health issues they have from then on, we'll be able to support them back to recovery and to help them financially through a claim.
Sure, no, that's good to know. And that's a huge percentage of claims being paid out, so that's good to know. Is there any special support or assistance available for people who claim, like the beneficiaries claiming on the policies?
Yeah, we have a really experienced staff throughout our claims team. They've been around a long time and they've dealt with many, many claims. We have a full team they have a full team behind them, so they have rehabilitation specialists, they have medical professionals, so people who've been GPs.
Sure.
One of the big ones is mental health expertise, because we are seeing a lot more of those types of claims around, depressive illnesses, dementia, and any types of mental health conditions, and we have a wide team to help support them. The beneficiaries, as you say, we want to work with them obviously as quickly as we can, and we do have an ability to make an advance payment to them to just help with funeral expenses, obviously whilst the death claim is being processed. And it depends on, obviously, most of the time they're fairly straightforward and quick to turn around. I think our average is just over 1 month to turn around the claim, but obviously we need certain paperwork, the death certificate, we need to check, the beneficiaries, and what I would say is it's really important for customers to update their beneficiary nominations. We've had recent experience where that wasn't done, and it can create all sorts of hold-ups and delays with it being, a payout being paid to the family, a death claim.
Sure. And what happens if it's not updated? Like, does that mean they would still get the payment, but it will just be delayed, or it could also result in a non-payment?
It could result in a non-payment. Any claims where a policy's the ownership is held through a superannuation trustee, there are certain rules under superannuation law that can prevent sometimes us paying out to certain people. There needs to be an independency relationship, so that can be dependents, so children of the deceased person, or a partner, if they're living together. Where a recent situation we had where it was a young person took out some cover, and he added his parents as the beneficiaries, but since then he actually married, but he didn't update his beneficiary nomination. And so, there's a lot of going back and forth and statutory declarations and there's been quite a bit of...
That just emphasises how important it is to keep that updated.
Exactly.
Right.
But, in answer to your question, just around how we deal with the family and beneficiaries, there's a lot of empathy and support around that. Mainly we deal with the executor of the person's estate. So, again, that's an important one to update if people haven't done that for a while, or if their situation's changed.
Yes. And Lisa, do we have any initiatives for health benefits or anything for being part of the 1.0 policy holders?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an app that is called Live Well.
Right.
So it is a health and wellbeing program. There's lots of articles around eating healthy, exercise, and it also
enables customers to link up their Garmin or their smartphone to this app, and we will track any exercise via steps or workouts or things like that. And they accrue points that way, so or they can, just reading articles accrues points. They get a bit of a booster when they first sign up of some advanced points, and what they can do with those points is access a whole range of different vouchers, shopping vouchers, groceries. Yes.
So the healthier you are, the more you can shop.
Absolutely. exactly. Which is important in this day when all the costs are going up everywhere. Interest rates, cost of food, just the general cost of living. So we've been getting quite a bit of feedback around our app, and people are getting more used to it and using it much more. So they're downloading their vouchers, their $25 vouchers, and they accumulate. I had someone who downloaded a $100 voucher the other day, so he was really happy and said that the app we've actually developed over time, and it's much easier to use now than it was initially. So nice and easy to use. The other thing we have available is Qantas frequent flyer points. So now that everyone's getting back to travel and enjoying their downtime, and very important for health and well-being, having a holiday and having that downtime.
Of course. You've covered shopping, now you've covered travel.
Yes, important, very important for our customers. So.
Yeah. Sure. So is Level available to all Zurich OnePath customers,
yes,
or is there a specific sort of requirement to meet before you can access it or anything?
No, just being a OnePath or Zurich customer enables eligibility to access the program, and as soon as their policy is completed, they receive an email. It's very easy to register, and then they're up and running. There's no fee at all. Some of the other programs there are fees, but there's no fee for ours. So
again, it's available to existing customers as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool. That's good to know. And is there any new developments or initiatives in the Zurich OnePath space that you could share with existing customers or anyone new looking to consider life insurance?
As I mentioned, we're constantly evolving and updating definitions. We had some changes that the government introduced to our income protection policies the year before last. And I think we're just taking on feedback from advisors and customers to make sure that we're meeting as many of their needs as possible. As I mentioned, we do have a wide variety of policies and benefits and features within our policies to help support our customers. One thing, I guess, is affordability, which has been a bit of a concern. So customers who are maybe needing some help and support around their premiums. We do have financial hardship options as well. So if someone is going through financial hardship, we can help out, and there's many different options we can look at for people. So we're just that's probably the main thing. Apart from our digital capability, we've got a customer portal called My Zurich. And customers can access the portals. We're going through just trying to make it easier for them. There's a lot of forms to fill out when they want to make a change or update their details. So part of the functionality we've started to implement is the ability for customers to just make those changes through this portal themselves. So some changes they can already start making now. And then down the track we're looking at some of those, getting rid of some of those forms and things like that. So just making it easier to deal with that.
No, that's good to have, because I think most people like to have control of things eventually, even though if they can change and update a little bits and pieces. So that's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And lastly, any tips or any guidelines that you want to give to people maybe looking to purchase life insurance or considering that at this point in time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think my biggest piece of advice is to do their homework around the different policies that are available in the market, which is where you come in, Priyanka. I think what we see is customers who have products recommended through a financial advisor who have the expertise around all the different types of products and the benefits and features is really important, because sometimes we see advertised on the TV or online where their policies might be really cheap, but they might be excluding certain things, like they might exclude mental health concerns, they might not ask about, pre-existing health conditions, and customers might be paying for something that they can't actually claim on. So really important, depending on the person's situation, as to what type of policy is going to be best for them, and making sure that when they need to have that support, not only financially, but around, as I mentioned, the rehabilitation, getting back to work. How claims people deal with a whole range of different things. I've even heard situations where they've helped someone buy a new suit for a job interview because they needed to go for a different type of job because their health condition prevented them from going back to their normal job. So there's just a lot of support around retail insurance.
Yes, now that's good to know, and hopefully through this conversation and information that we're providing, we hope people can have the information they can take back and make an informed decision. So thank you for that. And just one last one before we close up. Are there any key statistics or any sort of trends that you're seeing in the claims space that we can share with anyone? Like, is there any certain type of policy getting more claims over the other, or certain medical conditions where people are claiming more over the other, or something like that?
Sure. Income protection is probably the big one for us, and arguably the most important type of insurance, because income, we know, is what pays for our lifestyle, for our homes, for everything, all the educational requirements for our children. So that income protection is the policy that's claimed on the most, and it ranges from all sorts of different reasons to claim, from just accidents, injuries from accidents, car accidents, those types of things. We have a lot of back injuries that occur, people working in sort of more
common type.
Exactly. And then we have, as I mentioned before, mental health conditions as well, with people being under so much pressure and a lot going on. So income protection is definitely the one that we see the most claims, and sometimes they can be short claims for only a couple of months, and sometimes we have got people on sort of longer term claims as well, and sometimes partial, like where they can go back to work for a certain number of hours per week, but they can't go back full time. So we support people in by propping up their income.
And they would be like supplemented through the income protection and their regular income at the same time?
Exactly. And I guess one of the good things that we do at Zurich is that we only take 70% of that customer's income to prop up their monthly benefit. So in actual fact, someone on a partial claim is receiving more than they would on a full claim.
Right, okay. Sure, well, that's good to know. Thank you so much for that. That's some great pieces of insights and information, Lisa. We appreciate you joining us on the podcast and sharing this with our listeners. I really appreciate your time, and hopefully we can continue having more insightful conversations in the future.
Thanks so much, Priyanka. It's been an honour and a privilege to be with you today and just to help educate people around insurance.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And that concludes yet another insightful episode of Know Your Insurer. We hope you found today's discussion valuable and gained some deeper insights into this world of insurance. Remember, knowledge is power when it comes to protecting what matters to you the most. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in the future, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast, and join us next time as we continue to demystify this very fascinating world of insurance. Until then, stay informed, stay protected, stay tuned. Goodbye. Good.